right, and welcome to this special Star Wars episode. We're going to be doing part one of a four-part series with returning guests, the Masked Opinion, or as we'll be calling him, Mo, Luke, Rounswalker,
Hello there.
and Princess Lucy.
Hi.
All right, well, these are going to be a little different than our normal episodes because we won't be showing a trailer, but each one of these episodes, we're going to be dealing with a particular trilogy, or as we're going to do with the fourth one, we're going to expand out to the expanding Star Wars universe. So for this one, we're going to focus on the original or classic trilogy. So
the only one that matters.
Mo, what is your first memory of any of the Star Wars movies?
It's a real close between Han and the group going through the Death Star and the initial trench run on the Battle of Yavin. But just because I rewound it so many damn times, and amazing enough that VCR didn't break and I didn't wear out the tape from it, it definitely would still have to be the initial attack scene on the Death Star's trench run as the X-Wings open up their X-foils and start slamming in. I took my toy X-Wing fighter through that basement of our house in Lolo so many times, recreating that scene. So that by far would be probably the earliest one that I can recall.
And Luke, what is your earliest memory of Star Wars?
So my earliest memory is actually in the theater at the Village 6 for Return of the Jedi. I remember my dad reading the subtitles to Jabba, and then when the Rancor was coming, all of a sudden my eyes getting covered by his hand because I was so young that he didn't want it to scare me. I just remember that, and him grabbing me and covering my face because he was worried I would be afraid of the Rancor monster. So that's like my first memory of any of the Star Wars movies.
And Lucy?
Well, I remember going when I was a kid with my dad to the theater when they did the re-release of all three of the originals, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and of course Return of the Jedi. And I remember sitting there with him and one of my friends watching that. Oh my God, we were there forever because they did them back to back in one viewing. And we were just sitting there in awe of, the scrolling credits and all that. And then of course, whenever the big reveal happened, I was looking over at my dad like, can't possibly be the worst thing in the world to learn that that's your dad.
Well, my earliest recollection of Star Wars movies, quite honestly, I remember seeing, it was part of Cloud City, so Empire Strikes Back, and I saw it as part of, I think it was like NBC's Movie of the Week back in like 83, 84, something like that. Because at the time I was living in an area where we did have a one screen movie house that would actually get the last dredge of a movie. So in fact, the only movie I ever saw in that theater was Disney's Return to Oz.
Oh God.
Oh, that still gives me, I get sick just thinking about that movie.
Just thinking about it. That movie came out in what, 82, 83, something like that?
No, something like that.
I saw it in 1986.
Yeah.
Because I was in, it was either right at the end of kindergarten or right at the beginning of first grade, something in that time frame. So that gives you an idea how long it takes for something to come in. And obviously we didn't have cable in that area. So I didn't get exposed to the full trilogy until about 1987, 1988 is the first time I actually was able to start watching Episode 4, New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. So, Lucy, I just want to follow up on yours. When you said you saw them in the theaters, were you seeing the 97 special edition re-releases?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's going to be another question I'm going to have later tonight, is about just special editions. So, Mo, it kind of sounds like you almost already answered this question of what was your favorite scene.
Actually, no. I think that's my earliest one I could think, and I'm thinking the reason I think my parents might have only bought the New Hope, and then they didn't get the other movies till later, but I can't be sure. But that memory would have been late, 83 or 84, around that time frame. My earliest memory, but going forward to then, definitely by far, just because it's really close to me, is definitely the Battle of Hoth. By far is the most scene I can watch and never ever get tired of it. And my mom was pregnant with me in 1980, and they went and saw that a few weeks before I was born. So you could say I could hear the fire blasters and the thunder of the AT-ATs before I was even in the world. So I guess my fate was sealed. No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
And, you know, being that we're friends, I can definitely say, yeah, I could see how Hoth is your absolute favorite scene in the original trilogy. Hands down. I've been trying to find this thing that used to be on what is that? Just got bought out, and now you can find most of the stuff at GameStop.
ThinkGeek?
Thank you. They actually have the down AT-AT as a ceramic statue for outdoor displays. Honestly, a couple years ago, you almost got that as a Christmas gift.
Okay, then I would have probably made sweet love to you by then.
Now I'm glad I didn't get you that.
If I could have anything, it would definitely be a recreation or an actual model of the AT walkers they used on the set.
That would be cool.
I would carry that to my grave.
Well, it's kind of fun, and I'm sure most of us here have seen how they created those AT walkers back in the day.
Oh, with the stop motion and stuff.
Yeah.
Basically a lost art. Although it's kind of funny that one of the biggest science and nerds, Seth West or Seth Green, and then stop motion robot chickens. So started making a comeback, and then you've got that one British claymation series.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely not like it was the only option they had back in the day. And there's still magic. It just doesn't age with you. That those things actually physically existed in time and space. And I think that's just movies like that just simply just continue to stand the test of time. Bad CGI will always remain bad to get worse.
Okay, Luke. So what's your favorite scene?
Well, I wasn't sure if we were doing each movie, our favorite scene from each one, or what. But I mean, like, I have my ultimate favorite scene.
Well, let's go with the ultimate first, and then we can go back around for anybody who wants to do a New Hope, Empire, and Jedi one.
Okay, well, Empire is my favorite, and my favorite scene that still gives me goosebumps to this day is the scene when Luke tries to lift the X-wing, and then Yoda's explaining the Force, and he kind of wanders off, and then Yoda lifts the X-wing out of the swamp, brings it over, puts it down, and Luke's sitting there looking at it and stuff. He comes back to Yoda and goes, "I don't believe it." He goes, "That is why you fail." And that just, I mean, saying it gives me goosebumps just because it's such a cool line. And just, I mean, I still think about that, like with work and anything I do, it's like, you know, if you don't believe it, you've already failed. And so, I mean, just there's so much wisdom that comes from Yoda and stuff, and just that scene still, I love it. I went and watched it last night again just because I love it so much.
It's a basic life lesson too. You don't believe it, it won't happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just, I mean, so much about the Force and stuff is about that, but I mean, it really, that whole scene really dives into the Force and about how, you know, it's not as muscles and stuff, and that luminous beings we are. And I love it. I eat that up big time. It's just, that's my favorite. Of all Star Wars. I mean, I don't care any of them. That's my favorite. So
I probably was the only one in the audience that had any reaction to the Rise of Skywalker in one scene, but when Luke raises his X-wing, it was like experiencing that scene, and I genuinely started to like cry because I was just like, why couldn't there have been more magic moments like this? There's so many opportunities to do it. That was one scene that like genuinely like gave me goosebumps. That like oh my god, and just that was just for a few seconds, but I was back to being 5 years old again.
I agree with you, Mo. It was when he lifted that X-wing out, I was cheering in the theater. I was like, yes, see, he can do it. He can do it.
So that basically means during Rogue One, I was basically cheering the entire damn movie.
Oh yeah.
Lucy, what's your favorite?
I have to say probably anything with R2-D2 in it. I love whenever he's shooting across the room screaming. I always thought that was funny, like they were trying to unlock the thing and they were fighting outside, so
Cloud City.
Yeah. I always thought it was really funny.
How was I to know it was a power socket?
But piggybacking off what you guys were saying about Yoda and his teaching and stuff, that was one thing I liked about the new sequels. Whenever he came back, you know, and set the tree of wisdom on fire and was laughing because it's like, you don't need that. And it just kind of, I'm glad that they stayed true to that aspect of it.
Easterners, they were not. Rather have you.
Okay, so I just want to caution everybody. We want to just right now stick to just the classic trilogy era. Because
I was just piggybacking. That's all.
No, I know, and it's fine. And we've kind of put a toe in the prequels and a little bit into the sequels. So I want to just focus on our main classic trilogy. Rogue One is totally fine because as far as I'm concerned, it is the perfect companion to this.
Did Rogue One make everybody else sad? Because I can't watch it without getting really sad.
Oh yeah, it would just it was a bummer. I mean, it was just like but they did it, and it was either you got sad with them dying or you got sad like it's Princess Leia and she's really gone, but there she is again.
Do that.
So I didn't get sad at all on it. Like I knew they were all gonna die anyways, and it felt like they were sacrificing themselves for the better, and so it was like it felt honorable to me, I guess, you know, and the fact that you knew they were about to die, and then all of a sudden Vader shows up and has this amazing hallway scene that just made, I mean, I freaked out. So that was one of the coolest scenes. I loved it because he's just tearing through them using the Force. I mean, it's what we always wanted to see. We knew we could do it, but to actually see it live action was so freaking cool. So
I'm going to touch on something that Luke and I were just discussing the other night. My absolute favorite scene, especially for New Hope, is the recently made fan version of Obi-Wan versus Vader.
Yeah, that was actually pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how well they did that.
It was everything we really wanted, and understandably, at the time that New Hope was actually being done, Lucas told everybody, okay, your lightsaber's kind of like a broadsword.
Yeah.
Versus a katana or some other lighter, definitely not a rapier. That's the wrong kind of sword.
So much energy, it was hard to control them, and so they have these slow movements and stuff, you know.
And then he changes his mind with the prequels, and
Yeah.
oh well. I think in the long run that was the right move, because watching that final fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, especially if you didn't know what we learned in Empire or even going into the prequels, it just wasn't that great of the most powerful weapon in the galaxy fight scene, you know?
They were in totally new territory, and George was completely by the seat of his pants. I mean, it definitely didn't age very well, and it, I mean, choreography, everything was just different. Everything was the first time. So I mean, I mean,
but for its time, I mean, like you're seeing lightsabers or laser swords or whatever, you know, for the first time on it was epic. But I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, and then I mean, just the leap from there to Empire Strikes Back too. I mean, that was huge.
Oh yeah.
And I love the fight between Luke and Vader in Empire.
Yeah.
They're still doing the slow movements, but I love the dialogue between them, and just I think that makes the fight better rather than just sitting there whipping their lightsaber around.
Yeah.
The dialogue and stuff just makes it so much cooler.
I don't know, Irvin, he didn't think he could do it, but he did, and I was just like, I wish we would have cloned that man, because he did everything better than George ever thought of. Because George had ideas, but he couldn't execute worth that crap.
Yeah,
but Irvin Irvin Kershner was just
What was George's direction? He'd always say faster and more intense was his big thing that they'd always say, faster and more intense. And yeah, Irvin Kershner just, I mean, he blew it, I mean, out of the water. Most of the time you see a sequel and you're not like, that's my favorite. For me, that's my favorite. Empire's the best. And what he did was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and plus the thing and the editing, thanks to Lucas's X, that's a whole another escapade. Yeah.
So, a couple things I just want to throw out just for fun. I was going to say this as I was talking about how we were dipping our toes, because that was actually a perfect segue into the fact that if you count the amount of toes on Yoda's feet in Empire, and then look at his toes in the prequels, it's a different number of toes.
What? Oh, did you really have to ruin that for me?
Yes.
I don't think I've noticed that. You don't see his toes that often in Empire, because most of the time they're covered by his robe anyways, or he's riding on Luke's back.
Exactly. So the next time you watch Empire, count his toes, and then when you do go back and watch the prequels, you're going to be thinking about it.
God, I don't know how they could have screwed up Yoda's model in the original prequels so bad. That's the one time CGI did better than the damn puppet. I was like, good God, man, Yoda looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what puppet they were using, but it looked plastic, and it just looked. Sorry, I mean, it looked like crap.
Oh, it was just
great. You know what I got to do now.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the first of alternative casting I want to throw out at you guys. Do you know who was originally? Huh?
I was like, I got way more scenes I'd like. I like.
Oh, I'll get back to them. Just let me throw this out. They almost had Yoda being played by a monkey.
I don't know how that would have worked.
I don't either.
They were seriously contemplating having a monkey wrangler out there.
Were they seriously, or was it like 5 minutes? Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Okay, let me put it this way. In the 5 or 6 different behind the scene websites that I was looking through for hints about Star Wars, every single one of them mentioned Yoda was almost a monkey.
Oh, that's awful.
My God.
Thank gosh.
So, that would have destroyed it.
So I just want you to remember this when we talk about the prequels.
Gotcha.
Because Mo may remember my statement about it. We'll see on the next episode. So now for myself, I think my favorite scene I don't know. It's so hard to pick just one as a favorite for me, because there's so many sequences that I absolutely love. But I do love the I know scene between Han and Leia.
Yeah.
And that actually pissed George Lucas off, but Harrison's like, nope, I'm doing it. Leave it in there.
And Irvin Kershner pushed him. He's like, just be Han, do it. And then he did it. So
yeah, you want your actors to actually act like their characters, then let them do their talent.
Yeah,
George.
Absolutely.
So Mo, do you have any other favorite scenes, sequences?
Oh yeah, too many. I mean, honestly, but another runner-up would have to be just the amount of things going on during the Battle of Endor, both space and land. You've just got this, just everyone's just going all out, and just like the energy of the scene, the music, the sound, and just everything like just engages you in a way that just the prequels just don't. The only one that came to that was Rogue One, and that's why I just literally jumped in my damn seat in the theater. It was just like, oh my god, that's the magic. There it is. It's back.
Well, it's funny you bring up the music. I think we can all agree that John Williams is the perfect maestro for Star Wars. In fact, I know Luke has a story about it.
About what?
John Williams.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to bring that up?
Might as well.
Okay. So when I got married, we actually had songs by John Williams at our wedding. And so to not give it away right away, what we did was when I made the program for our candle lighting, I just wrote song by John Williams. And then for when we were leaving our wedding, it said song by John Williams. And the first one we played was actually the Han and Leia love song from Empire Strikes Back while my wife and I were lighting the Unity candle. And a few people in the audience got it because you could see them grinning. And they knew what that was. And then the crazy thing about this, though, like on the soundtrack that I was playing, I had to make sure the lady shut it off at the right time, because if she didn't, it was going to start into the Imperial March with dun 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 dun. So luckily she shut it off at the right time. And then when we were leaving our wedding, that's when everybody knew it was Star Wars, because it was the same song that they play when Luke and Han get their medals at the end of A New Hope. And that's what we left to. So but yeah, that's, my wife loves Star Wars too. It's one of those things that we just love in our family. And I was joking with Dawn last night too, like growing up, my whole life I've heard the wrong line, of course. People going, Luke, I am your father. And people are always like, I suppose you think that's annoying. I'm like, no, I love it. I love Star Wars. Say it all you want. I love Star Wars. It's totally cool. So I did want to bring up one other thing, Don. My favorite scene from A New Hope is actually has to do with my background. When you see Luke step out there looking at Tattoo 1 and Tattoo 2 in front of him, the suns are lowering, and John Williams' score comes in, and he's looking off, and it's just this like innocence before he's about to lose his aunt and uncle and be thrown into this whole Jedi and Rebel Alliance and stuff. And that scene is so cool. It's one of my favorites.
So I'm sure you, at least Luke, and maybe Bright or Mo, have seen the alternative opening to Star Wars, where Luke is out
when he goes to Tashi Station.
Yeah, and he looks up with the binoculars.
Yeah, and sees
the battle.
The battle going on between between the Star Destroyer and the Leia ship. Yeah, thank you.
No, that I have not seen. That would be cool. But I do remember where Luke actually meets his friend at Tashi Station.
Biggs.
And I was just like, oh, that was just like, ooh, just like that doesn't fit at all.
No, I was glad they cut that out. You guys have seen the deleted scene from Return of the Jedi, right?
Which one?
No.
So at the very beginning, it's a scene I wish they would have left in. So they cut out a scene at the very beginning that shows Luke on Tatooine in a cave completing his new lightsaber with R2.
Oh, I have seen that one.
and he fires it up and then gives it to R2. I'm like, why did they? That was cool. Like, I'm like, that was way cool. And it was really quick. They could have left it in there.
Wow.
I wish they would have. It's so cool. If you guys haven't seen it, you gotta check it out.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah,
that one actually is one of those few ones.
Yeah, it's one of the few that you're like, because there's another scene that they cut out where instead of like after they battle Jabba and they all fly off and they're like, all right, see you, kid. You know, he's going back to Dagobah. They show them all like getting into their ships in the middle of the sandstorm and stuff. And then like there's this awkward hug again between Leia and Luke. And I was like, I'm so glad they cut it. And some of the lines that Han says are just weird. They don't sound like Han Solo.
Well, here's something I want to throw out as a alternative director to Return of the Jedi. There is a prominent director who had a very successful sci-fi movie right before Return of the Jedi came out.
Didn't they want Spielberg to do it?
He was a possibility, but no, this is not who I'm talking about.
Oh.
The reason I'm partially partial to this particular director is he went to the same high school as three of us.
What?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, who the heck went to Sentinel High School? I'm blanking, man. This is something I don't know. I don't know this. Mo, do you know this?
Don's got way too much time digging up this blink.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Come on.
Okay.
Who is it?
This prominent director from Missoula, Montana, is David Lynch. The little sci-fi movie I'm referring to is anybody?
Got me.
Dune.
Oh. Well, Lucas even makes, references to that with the spice mines and stuff and the Dune Sea. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. David Lynch was actually seriously being considered to do Return of the Jedi, or as the original title, which you can still find posters of. What was the original title?
Revenge of
the Jedi. They changed it at the last minute because Jedis don't seek revenge.
There you go. So
Which
Lucy,
I actually have a poster of that on a calendar. I bought the calendar just because it was on there. I was like, oh, cool.
So Lucy, do you have any other scenes that just mean anything to you?
Well, I always liked when the Ewoks braided Princess Leia's hair, but that's because I always wanted to learn how to do that. Probably the stormtroopers realizing that they did not know how to aim worth a darn.
Yeah, that was kind of fun how at the beginning of New Hope, we get told only stormtroopers are this accurate or whatever, and then
this precise,
and the rest of the trilogy, they can't hit the broadside of a barn.
So there's a theory behind that I've heard, a fan theory that says like Vader, knew about Luke and stuff and was like, don't shoot him. Which, that's kind of far-fetched, but still. I like the fact that the stormtroopers suck and they can't hit anything.
Actually, fireworks.
So, Luke, what other scenes did you want to bring up from New Hope?
So, that was it for New Hope. I've got some for Return of the Jedi a few other ones. So, one other memory I wanted to bring up as a kid. Luckily, growing up in Montana, we had lots of snow. And so when it snowed outside, I would go out in the snow and pretend I was Luke Skywalker. And my mom always reminds me of this, that she'd look outside and see me laying there going, Ben, calling for Ben. And she'd look outside and be like, oh, he's just playing again. So I'm calling for Ben in the snow. So that's just a cool memory I have. And that's part of the reason why I like Empire so much. It's just There's so many cool things in that. I mean, another recent memory I have is when I had my daughter watch Empire Strikes Back for the first time. So like, even though there's the prequels, I didn't have her watch those first. I had her watch New Hope first, and then we jumped into Empire Strikes Back.
Good man.
And I knew it was coming when Vader goes, "No, I am your father." And so I wish I would have filmed this because it was amazing, her reaction. He says it, and she looks at me and she goes, "He's lying, Dad. He's lying. Darth Vader's a liar." And I was just like, "No, actually, that's his dad." And he's like, "No, you're lying too." It was that same kind of reaction I think everybody had. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, no, it can't be. The worst villain ever can't be his dad." So that was really cool too, that she had that same kind of reaction. And luckily she loves Star Wars as much as I do. So
You're a good man. All right, so we only have a few minutes left, so I want to ask quickly, just a yes, no at the first here. Do you like the special edition re-release in '97? Lucy?
I do, just because I have a good memory connected to it.
Luke?
yes for New Hope, yes for Empire Strikes Back, no for Return of the Jedi.
Mo?
For the most part, yeah, it's the only tolerable one.
You like overall the special editions?
No, just that's the only one.
Which one?
The 97.
I think he's referring to the Disney Plus, how they remastered the whole thing and just totally messed it up.
No,
Yeah,
this was before. This is when the 20th anniversary of in 97. This was way before Disney was ever in the equation.
It's the one you saw in theaters.
Correct.
With your dad. It's just.
Oh no, I'm talking about like how that re-release is not as bad as the re-release that they have now.
Correct.
The remastered one that they did.
Everything after
is
that.
what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Disney. I'm just saying like the one that Disney did is just garbage.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. This is important to me.
Okay.
The last scene in Return of the Jedi, when Vader's sitting there and looks back at Luke.
Okay, hold on. Are we complaining that we got a prequel Ghost?
No, I'm not complaining about that at all.
Okay.
What I'm complaining about is Luke sitting there. He's getting electrocuted by the Emperor. Vader looks back, grabs the Emperor. The sound changes. This is the original to like the Force sound, and he throws him down there. In the new release on Disney, you hear Vader go, "No, no," and then he grabs the Emperor and throws him down the freaking reactor shaft. It's the worst scene ever. I hate it. They need to get rid of this no stupid crap. It just ruined it for me. I won't watch it. That's why I'm glad I have the original theatrical versions on DVD, and that's what I watch. Sorry.
I wish I had the original theatrical, at least for the final scene in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And when I say the end scene, am only talking about the Ewok village. I do like seeing the galaxy-wide celebration with the fall of Palpatine, but my biggest complaint about the special edition box that I personally got came out right after the prequels were coming out, and I have the Hayden Christensen Darth Vader Ghost, and I hate that.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he was an old man when he died. He should still be an old man.
Exactly.
Sebastian Shaw was fine. Ugh. Yeah.
I still have the original late 80s VHS tapes.
So do I. I've got the ones that they remastered in THX with Lucas doing interviews before, and I've got those. But then I luckily found the original theatrical versions on DVD when I was working at Best Buy in early 2000s. It was this like small release box set, but yeah.
The real gems are the Laserdisc copies.
Oh gosh, those are priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you know in the original ending of Jedi, that scene where Luke helps remove the mask from Vader?
Yeah.
It almost had a different turn of events there, where instead of taking it off, Luke then says, "Now I'm Vader,"
and puts it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then Revenge of the Jedi really would have worked.
Yeah, then that would have worked. Yeah.
So
Well,
ultimately, Lucas said no, that was too dark, and scrapped that idea. But I'm personally glad he didn't, because that would have been a shock too far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was really close. And Luke, you probably remember the scene, because even as a kid, I got the epiphany when Darth is talking to Luke onto the platform. You cannot hide forever, Luke. And Luke is literally half silhouetted.
Oh,
He is on the teetering point of the dark and the light. You can see his soul and mind just silhouetted. I'm just like, I don't know if it was I don't know who's director, if that was actually one of George Lucas's better ideas, but that's just like perfect.
Marquand directed that, but it looks so cool. You're right. I mean, you can see that split, and that's why when you're taking the mask off too, you see the gray underneath there showing that light side. That it's. I mean, it's so good. Gosh, I love it.
I'm glad we're all happy about this one. And I'm a little surprised we didn't talk more about Rogue One, but that's totally fine. We can talk about it more when we come back for our 4th episode. But final thoughts before everybody sees us next time for the prequels. Mo, any final thoughts?
George, just take it back from Disney. Pay them back. Take it back.
Okay. Lucy?
Say drown Jar Jar before he takes over the world.
Okay. Luke?
Well, I'm gonna disagree with Mo a little bit, because I like what Disney's doing on Disney Plus with Mando.
Oh yes.
I wish they would have stopped George from messing with the original trilogy after '97. He could have just left it there. So, even though I prefer the original theatrical versions the best, those are the best ones.
Now, I do have a quick question. A quick question for everybody. Okay, I keep hearing this theory that Jar Jar is supposed to be a Sith or a Sith Lord.
God, this again.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say, like, somebody edited together a video that like showed him doing stuff, and I'm like, why? Why would they pick an idiot? Like,
Like, Jar Jar actually goes to be a clown later on. Like, I think in Clone Wars, like at the end, he goes, I don't know.
I didn't see the Clone Wars cartoon. Did he actually make more appearances in that?
He does.
God,
it sucks, but
of course,
for the most part, the Clone Wars makes me appreciate prequels more. We'll go over that next time, though.
All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we'll see you when we do the prequels tomorrow.
May the Force be with you.
Always.